Let's get back to work here. All right, I have communications with my second wife a lot, and she really helps because she was very, 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 very abused by a group called the Temple Set Illuminati, and it's hard on her because she thinks she has emotional problems. She told me that she's schizophrenic. She feels like Sybil. She wanted to commit suicide. She thought it would affect the kids. It does affect the kids. She wanted, and so it was horrible. And she saw it. She said this planet is a prison, and we have to die to get off of it. You got to take the kids with you, or you leave the kids in this prison. And like even Mr. Carey sat there and referred to me as a breeder in Sierra Vista. I was like, well, no, I'm. Everybody should understand that there is no capacity to say the word breeder unless someone actually does. I didn't know how to tell them, no, my wife goes out and gets pregnant without my participation, numerous times. So she's more, of course, the breeder. I'm one of those type of people that understands exponential growth and realizes that you don't want to try to produce more children than yourself or your wife, and stuff. And so you got to understand, especially in the modern era where we have the capacity for 2 children from 2 people to survive and live 100 and 150 years, so, and not just survive, but live, and love and enjoy life. So we need to stop and eliminate abuse and then recover from that abuse and then love. All right. That's what we're meant to do. Psalms, you meant for me to lie beside still, in green pastures, beside still waters. And you meant for me to understand, when a storm comes through, to build shelter and understand how to keep safe from shelter and understand where it floods, where it does this, and all the things that I'm able to understand through love and pass on and share through wisdom of faithful love, right? And so that's what the essence of existence meant for us. And a lot of people, that's not true. Yeah, it is. Because when you do things in contrast, okay, to that gratitude of life and that understanding and that appreciation of faithful love to live, then you put everything at risk. And then that gift is gone. So go take your avatar bullshit and go fuck yourself with it. I'm tired of you assholes. Okay? So Amy's sitting there talking to me about this stuff. She goes, well, what happened with me and my kids? I feel bad. You shouldn't feel bad about it. You didn't do it. The scientific community did it. Okay. And one of the people that really helped was a woman named Oprah Winfrey, because she talked about her sexual abuse when she was young. Okay. And a lot of people won't talk about that. They don't want to talk about that. It's taboo. That's bad. She said, well, what happens is you like it. Well, it makes you feel desirable and attractive when you're compared to others. So what we have to do is not compare. Okay. Like Judah Krishnamurti said. And secondly, it's because me and Amy talked about it last night. I was like, no, why? You don't. Because one, I wouldn't do you don't want to use someone that's not mature and capable of sexual reproduction and mature enough to handle reproduction. You don't want to rob them of their, like my boy LG said in his rap, I miss Santa Claus and being a kid again. If I could, I'd do it all again. You don't want to rob them of the magical thinking, of, no, Daddy, you're a liar, Santa found us. You don't want to rob them of the certain things where it's like that they're full of shit. That's not me, And you want to be pragmatic, but you don't want to use magical thinking, but you want to use... wait, till the celebration, till this, that, you don't want, the whole bridge to Terabithia. It's dangerous to have magical thinking and people believing in things that aren't real, because then they're susceptible to things that are not real, and that can get people killed. So, the whole thing, like with me and Patrick, with him being my wingman at ASU, with the 2 hot blondes, Dad, how come your penis is big and hairy, mine is small and not? I mean, he's saying, first of all, you're giving Dad way too much credit. And you're going to pass Dad up by 6th grade. which made the one, I was so stupid. She was so perfect. But the thing about it is I wasn't so stupid because either way, the Temple Set Illuminati was fucking with my life. So even if I married the hot blonde that was really intelligent and cool, or Jake's mom and me dated, they still would have done the same things to us. Okay. It would have been harder for them to abuse us, but they would have just abused us harder. It was easier to manipulate Amy because they started young and they isolated her and they used Wi-Fi connections through tribalism, through sexual relationships. Okay, so we had consistent relationships and were sexually attracted to each other, not just me and her, but others in the family, because it's over a long period of time. Okay, and they knew this. And there's in-bed perversion. It's not. It's just, you just get in an area and they're just assholes. It's like, same thing happens with Polynesians and with Native Americans that are in remote areas. It doesn't mean they're bad for staying among their own people and knowing each other when they marry. What's your name? Wong. Okay, you see what I'm saying. That's from Charlie Chan the other night with, was it Jimmy falls for the girl with the thing, and then he goes, wait, no, you can't take her back to her Mary. Why? Because you just got drafted into the army. Oh, well, that's wonderful. Yeah. Poor guy. You have to go kill people for the rich people to be, seen as a citizen so they don't racially profile you and abuse you. It's propaganda. But me and Amy were having this conversation, and I kept talking to her about the stuff, and I said, no, look, once a kid's already been groomed by perverts, then they need protection because they can become a monster that manipulates people's sexuality. Okay, so they need people that come in and protect them from what happened to them. But we need to try to eliminate those kind of vulnerabilities altogether. And this surveillance system is terrible, and it's obvious. We have the Trumps, the Clintons, and the Epsteins, and all that stuff, and all these people that use money and sexuality to manipulate people and manipulate access and stuff. And Donald Trump, can't feel like, oh, how dare you, dude. The Stormy Daniels, you cheat on your wife, and no, shut up. Okay, just shut up. You're Bill Clinton, and Bill Clinton's you. Okay, you just paint your ass different and get different dumbasses to believe you, and you're full of shit. Okay, everybody and their mama knows it. Okay, if people don't know it, it's because they believe in the Easter Bunny and the Bridge to Terabithia and John Carpenter's imagination of this is what a planet would be like. Oh, take your avatar and fuck yourself with it. Okay, so fucking tired of you assholes. Okay, your imagination, it tries to expand your sexual prowess and dominance and charisma, and they talked about that in history class. The sexual charisma. David and Solomon had sexual charisma, and so did Joseph Smith. And they tried not to use it to influence or manipulate others. Okay. It was the other people comparing themselves to them and competing with them that caused the problems. Okay. Joseph wanted to commit to a woman that the dad didn't want to let him marry because he was an asshole. And he had to do the Saginaw, Michigan thing to get his wife with this asshole. And then he was a charlatan. He wasn't a charlatan. When you fall in love with someone who wants to get away from an asshole, and it's hard to get away from an asshole, when we know how that can be. Sometimes you have to do things like what happened with Schindler's List, or, to hide Anne Frank and things like that. So you're in no position to judge Joseph Smith through his historical context of perpetual tribal genocidal dysfunction and male dominance to manipulate with sex, while women become, the more you manipulate a woman sexually, the more vicious and underhanded and vicious she comes sexually to manipulate you. So you got to learn to quit that stuff. It's share, caregiving. You got to understand Psalms, you got to understand Proverbs, and you got to understand that, especially so when it comes to sexual relationships. And you have to adhere to that, and you have to be firm on that. And then there were certain things that because Jamie was talking about this, I said, no, you cannot use children for sexuality. It's just frustration. Until they get through puberty, they're not going to enjoy it. They're going to know you're just using it to enjoy sex, and you're just teasing them because they're not going to hit that apex that makes it feel really, really good. Okay, you're just stimulating and using them. And sexuality is for sexual reproduction so we may live. Okay, so if you're using kids, you're just using it to get your rocks off, but you're getting them frustrated till they can get theirs, and then you're teaching them to use children to get their sexual gratification instead of sexually reproduce, which is fucked. So you might as well be part of Planned Parenthood at a fucking school to have people manipulated sexually for marketing and competition, as opposed to look at it as a marriage, and that sexual reproduction is not something you play with and market and destroy and then try to rebuild. It's something that keeps us alive so we can build love off of Psalms and Proverbs. So you got to understand someone like me as opposed to someone like you. You're a complete fucking asshole. And trying to control sexuality through oppressive religious mythology is just as fucked as Planned Parenthood. So you don't turn people into sexual commodities that manipulate each other with their delusions of sexual charisma because they compare and compete with each other and they're complete narcissistic assholes. And then you don't turn people into self-righteous, pretentious assholes that say they're better than other people in magical places invented in people's fucked up heads that can't handle sexuality because they're comparing themselves to other people. I don't compare myself to other people. You know, I'm 5'11" and 3/4, and I've only had sex with black women. Okay, do you understand? And was a sexual legend everywhere I went. He's the best in bed. Okay, 5'11" and not even 6 inches. In I probably hit about 6 inches when I was real healthy when I was married Stephanie, and that was it. That was my tops. Was 6 inches. Okay. That's considered, that make vanity go to sleep, according to Prince. And I was better and better, more desired sexually, and more, he'll make you hit the mountaintop. He's the best. He's the excellent lover. He's attentive. He's loving. He's this and that. And I was average. Okay. As long as you can hit the spot, you'll take care of what you need to take care of. So don't compare yourself to others. It'll only make you bitter and vain, for there will always be greater and lesser people than yourself. So it's all about love. It's all about understanding. It's all about being with the person you're with and loving the person you're with and appreciating the person you're with and not comparing them to others. The moment you start comparing them to others, you are a selfish fucking cow who's not worthy of a faithful relationship. Like Muhammad said in the Holy Quran, it should be a fate worse than death than to cheat on a faithful spouse. Assholes. Okay. Thanks, Amy Sue Robinson. I'm just being silly. Amy Sue Fabre, I love you. You're a good kiddo. Okay, hang in there. Okay, I'm doing the best I can. I need you and the kids to hang in there with all that. You're in a genocidal cesspool with pollution and diseases and allergy, and I know it's hard. And I love you so much, and I don't care who the biological father at the bar is of any of those kids. All I care about is that they live and love and are loved. That's all that matters to me. I love them just as much as I love Patrick Earl Parsons, and he knows that. Okay. Me and Patrick were ripped apart by the scientific community that's jealous of us and the business community that invented them, and not because me and Patrick decided to be selfish assholes to one another. Okay. And the same thing happened with Patrick and his mom. And his mom she's not a monster. She's just really hard to deal with. Amy's easier to deal with. Yeah, Amy's easier to deal with than Stephanie. She's less moody, and she can handle, things, and then you can sit down and have a mature conversation with her, and she can go, oh, okay. And then she can understand it and recover from it. It's hard for Steffi to admit it. When she did something wrong, she blacks out and she does horrible things to you and then doesn't remember. Amy remembers, and she feels like a monster, and it's like, it's not your fault. You're manipulated by those perverts standing behind the curtain. So, okay, guys, I love you very much. Thanks. Okay, thanks everybody involved in this video that helped me, and the people on Celebrity Family Feud. Yeah, I love you too. Javon and her family. Yeah. Okay, guys, I love you. All right, peace out.